Hi, everyone. Crazy week all around with the elections, and there were a lot of drugs on ballots across the country. I know it's a really strange thing to say, but we've got a lot of stories about that for you. Starting with New Jersey, Arizona, Montana, and South Dakota all voting to legalize recreational use of marijuana. Now, South Dakota is interesting because at the same time, they also legalized medical use of the drug, and they're the first state to do both of those things at the same time. Mississippi also legalized medical use of marijuana, but marijuana is just the beginning. If you look to Oregon, things get very interesting out there. They decriminalized small amounts of hardcore drugs like cocaine, heroin, LSD, and others. And the new law basically says if you're caught with these, you're not going to get arrested. You might get fined, but you also may be put into one of these new treatment centers that will be free to help you recover from an addiction. Also in Oregon and way across the country in DC, they decriminalized the usage of magic mushrooms and other psychedelics. This is not for on the street use. This is purely in medical settings where they use these drugs to treat trauma, depression, and addiction. All right, so coughing into your cell phone may be the key to diagnosing COVID-19. Researchers at MIT discovered that when you have the virus and you cough, even if it's just a fake cough, like there is a sound that comes out of your lungs that the human ear cannot hear. But if you have COVID, your lungs make that sound. So they've developed an algorithm that is 98.5% accurate and sometimes even more accurate. They found that people who were asymptomatic, had no reason to believe they'd been in contact with anybody who had COVID, when they tested, if they had COVID, it was 100% accurate. So right now, they're trying to create an app that would have to be approved by the FDA. And if that happens, they will make that available free to everyone. I mean, talk about a game changer for the entire country, maybe the world. All right, continuing with COVID, there are some new rules for employers in New Jersey. The governors there signed an executive order that essentially takes all the guidelines from the CDC, OSHA, and then some of the state guidelines that they had that were industry specific and puts them all in one nice little easy to follow list, but everyone has to follow it. The list includes things like before each shift, you have to screen all the workers. You have to remain 6 feet apart if at all possible. Employers also have to provide masks and sanitation materials and provide breaks that are long enough for people to wash their hands with soap and water and also routinely disinfect all those high-touch surfaces. Another thing this executive order does is it creates an online complaint process. So if you are an employee and you feel your employer is not doing all the things necessary to keep you healthy and safe, you have some recourse. All this went into effect on November 5th. And that's going to do it for us today. Be sure to check out ebiinc.com for more screening information, and we'll see you next week.